Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw, of course, was from the Performance Center in Orlando. And Monday Night Raw tonight, and I know there were some people who enjoyed Raw tonight. That's good for you all. It's your opinions. I respect them. But Raw to me tonight was just terrible, in my opinion. Tonight's Raw was god-awful, in my opinion. But we had the match tonight between Sasha and Asuka, where the Raw Women's Championship was on the line. And we also saw a number one contenders triple threat match. The winners of that match will get to face the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championship at SummerSlam. And to me, that match did not make any sense whatsoever with the competitors in that triple threat. And in the main event, we saw Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. Of course, McIntyre ended up choosing the stipulation for that match, which I will get to explain when I talk about that. But overall, Raw was terrible. But I'm going to jump right into the review. So, Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Randy Orton. Randy Orton ended up making his way out. He got in the ring, and we saw highlights from the unsanctioned match last week that he had with the Big Show, which fortunately Orton ended up winning, of course. So we saw highlights of that. And then Orton ended up getting on the mic, and he was talking about his career and some of the groups that he's been a part of. Of course, from Evolution to Legacy, and also to the Authority, the three groups that Orton has been a part of in his career. And Evolution being one of the main, most remembered groups that Orton was a part of, with him and Triple H and Batista and Ric Flair. Legacy, I liked him in. He was there along with Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr. The Authority, he was there with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, Seth Rollins. Of course, you had Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury there. J&J Security, when they were the security there for Seth Rollins, always trying to protect Rollins. So, of course, like I said, Orton's been part of those three groups. So he ended up talking about some of the greats that the business has put out. He ends up going on to mention Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. He ended up naming more along the way. So Orton went on and he said about how The Rock and Austin can't hold a candle to anything that he's done. And he ends up saying something is missing. And he hasn't been able to quite put his finger on it as of late. But Orton ended up saying that it hit him like a ton of bricks this morning. He said he knows what he needs and desires. And that desire is for him to become the WWE Champion again. So he ends up mentioning Drew McIntyre. And he ended up going on about how McIntyre has made an impressive comeback, and that McIntyre has got a problem. And that problem is that McIntyre has what Orton ends up wanting. And Orton then announced that he wants a title shot, a WWE Championship match at SummerSlam against Drew McIntyre. So Orton ended up saying that when he hits the RKO on McIntyre, and he ended up saying that McIntyre will never see it coming. So that was the promo that Randy Orton ended up cutting. But this was a very good promo from Orton. Really enjoyed what he had to say. And looking forward to how this build to SummerSlam is going to progress with Orton now focusing on McIntyre and with the WWE Championship on the line. So we're looking forward to how that's going to go. So, but very good promo that Orton ended up cutting. And then after that, we went from one promo from Randy Orton to a second promo. So we had Nia Jax end up coming out. Nia Jax hasn't been on TV since last month, since June, when she lost to Asuka, and she ended up injuring Charlotte. So Nia Jax got in the ring, she got on the mic, and she ended up saying that she just heard Randy Orton talk about waking up, knowing what he wants. She ended up saying that she knows how it feels. Nia Jax ended up saying that she woke up this morning and wanted to become the Raw Women's Champion. She ended up talking about how she was screwed by a certain referee last month. And she ended up saying that Charlotte hasn't been seen since. And she ended up mentioning Asuka's match that she's going to have with Sasha later on. So then Shayna Baszler ended up coming out. So we're seeing, Shayna Baszler a little bit more on TV now. And Baszler ended up marching to the ring. And she ends up telling Nia Jax nobody gives a damn what she wants. So Nia Jax ended up dropping Shayna Baszler in the middle of the ring. And they end up brawling. Referees end up coming out, breaking up the brawl. And that was basically that. So that was that. So after the Nia Jax promo, we had the triple threat match. The Viking Raiders versus Cedric Alexander and Ricochet versus Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Angel Garza. And whoever won this match will get to be the number one contenders to face the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championship at SummerSlam. Before the match got underway, the Street Profits were in the ring. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins. They ended up piping up the match with the winner going on to challenge them at SummerSlam. So they introduced the teams, the Viking Raiders. Then they introduced Cedric and Ricochet. And then Andrade and Angel Garza, which they came out along with Zelina Vega, of course. And I gotta say, why did they have this match tonight? They did not need to have this. I mean, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, what are they doing in this match? What do they achieve to get a shot at being the number one contenders for the tag team titles? What did they do? They did nothing to achieve, to be in this number one contenders match. And pretty much this is the whole Raw tag team division in this match. They have no other tag teams on the show. Same with SmackDown. The entire WWE tag team division is garbage. What other tag teams are there? So, but we had Andrade and Angel Garza end up winning the match. Garza ended up hitting the win clipper on Ivar of the Viking Raiders for the win. The Street Profits were on commentary throughout this match. Match was meh, in my opinion. So there you go. Andrade and Angel Garza end up winning. They get to face the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championship at SummerSlam. There you go. And then we went to Shayna Baszler versus Nia Jax, which ended in a double countout. And they just started brawling, both Nia and Shayna. Nia Jax ended up sending Shayna Baszler into the ring apron, then to the floor. And they were just brawling on the floor. Nia Jax ended up launching Shayna Baszler into the plexiglass. So the referee starts counting, and the referee got to 10, and it led to a double count out. Security ended up coming out to try to break up Nia and Baszler, and Baszler ended up applying the Kirifuda clutch on one of the guards. Nia Jax ended up shoving one of the producers into Shayna, and Nia ended up dropping him. And so at that, we saw Nia end up dropping Shayna off of the ring apron, and that was that. So double count out. So we saw Bianca Belair and Ruby Riott backstage with Mark Henry. Mark Henry was there for a little appearance. You know, last week it was Ron Simmons. This week it was Mark Henry. So it was nice to see Mark Henry there. And then we had Seth Rollins come out along with Buddy Murphy because apparently Rollins ended up asking if Buddy Murphy is with him in this. Buddy Murphy ended up saying to Seth Rollins if Dominik will show up, you know, Rey Mysterio's son Dominik will show up. Seth ended up believing that Dominik would show up, and Seth ends up going on about the greater good. And we're still trying to know what this greater good is. Like, what is the greater good? I'll tell you what the greater good is. The greater good is for these shows to get a whole lot better and for WWE to deliver better shows, better Monday Night Raw shows. That's what the greater good is. But Rollins ended up saying that he thinks that the greater good will move forward and things will be different. Yeah. And then he ended up taking the mic while he was in the ring. He ended up saying that he should be happy about his win over Rey Mysterio at Extreme Rules. But he's not happy because Dominik is here to confront him. Rollins ended up saying that every time the greater good takes 2 steps forward, someone gets in his way, and they have to take a step back. Rollins ended up saying that it's unfortunate how when this happens, someone always gets hurt. He ended up saying that he recalls how Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, and Aleister Black got hurt. And he ended up saying that's not how he wants things to be. He doesn't want to be the person who hurts others. He ended up saying that's not who the Monday Night Messiah is. So Rollins ended up saying that he recalls how Dominik jumped him the last time he came to Monday Night Raw. And things got more violent than Rollins ended up wanting. So Rollins ended up going on about how he doesn't want Dominik to hide in the shadows, and he wants no violence, and he wants this to be the right way. So Rollins ends up going on and asking Dominik to come to the ring to confront him face to face, man to man. So Rollins ends up calling him out to the ring, and he ends up telling Dominik, don't be afraid. Come to the ring. So Dominik then appears on the stage, and Rollins keeps talking and says that he wants to give Dominik the chance to get things off his chest. And Dominik ends up charging. He ends up tackling Seth Rollins. Buddy Murphy ends up attacking him from behind. And Dominik ends up being beaten up by Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy on the floor. And they end up launching Dominik into the barricade. So then we had them sending Dominik into the barricade. Seth Rollins was yelling at Dominik, asking him what's wrong. So Rollins ended up launching Dominik into the side of the announce table. He was yelling some more at Dominik. Aleister Black then ended up coming out to make the save. Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins end up fighting Aleister Black. Aleister ended up fighting Buddy Murphy off. Seth Rollins ended up sending him into the barricade. And we had Buddy Murphy end up leveling Aleister Black at ringside. Rollins then delivered the stomp. And Rollins was looking at the ring steps. He ends up telling Buddy Murphy that he knows what he has to do. So Buddy Murphy ends up asking Rollins if he has to be the one. And Rollins was yelling at Buddy Murphy about being for the greater good and being there for him. So Rollins then ended up slapping Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy ended up taking Aleister Black over, and he ended up sending Aleister's eye into the ring steps. So Rollins and Buddy Murphy were looking around ringside for Dominik. Dominik ended up attacking both Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy with a kendo stick. Dominik ended up snapping, and he kept swinging at Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. They end up retreating to the stage, and that was basically that. So, there you go. The storyline with Seth Rollins and Dominik is continuing still. Then we had the VIP lounge. So we saw that. MVP was out there along with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. MVP ended up saying that last week didn't go as planned, but it's okay because he had the chance to meet a young man, one who had been gone for 7 months or longer. And he introduces his guest, who was Mustafa Ali. So Mustafa Ali ended up coming out. MVP ended up welcoming him to the VIP lounge. And MVP ended up saying that this is the good life, where good things happen when you make the right decisions, and bad things happen when you make bad decisions. And so MVP was like, oh, that's kind of like your friends, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. So Mustafa Ali ended up saying that he and his friends, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, and the Hurt Business is out of business last week. And he ended up saying that he is happy to be back, happy to be on Raw, and that he is happy he has the opportunity to climb the ladder, and that he's happy he has the opportunity to become a real champion. And MVP ends up saying that all those things can happen for Mustafa Ali if he hangs with the right people. So Mustafa Ali ends up saying that MVP may be able to brainwash these two, meaning Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. But he thinks for himself, and always has. So MVP ends up saying that Mustafa Ali isn't thinking too well right now. MVP ended up reminding Mustafa Ali that he has to go up against the CEO of the Hurt Business, who is Bobby Lashley. And then he went on about how Apollo Crews once thought like Mustafa Ali did, and that he's home watching them have this conversation, and he's on his couch at home. Apollo Crews is on his couch. So MVP ended up saying that Mustafa Ali can be a predator or chum in the Wars for Predators. And Mustafa Ali ended up saying that he doesn't care what the proposal is. He said, he ended up saying no, and the more he thinks of it. So then R-Truth ended up calling Mustafa Ali Mufasa. He ended up calling Mustafa's first name Mufasa, according to R-Truth. So R-Truth then ended up knocking Shelton Benjamin to the floor, and R-Truth ended up trying to cover Shelton Benjamin for a 2 count. And, because of the whole Jabba Ninja Turtle 24/7 rules for the title, R-Truth then ended up retreating. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then we had Mustafa Ali versus Bobby Lashley, which the match itself, it was okay. Wasn't terrible. But Bobby Lashley ended up winning. Lashley locked in the full Nelson to Mustafa Ali. And I'm like, Mustafa Ali returned last week. He was out since December. He comes back this month. Appears on Monday Night Raw last week. And then this week, he loses. He loses a match. Was this going to be a start of Mustafa Ali being buried now? I can tell you that's what they're possibly going to do. They're possibly going to bury Mustafa Ali already. Comes back and already loses. So then we went to the Sasha Banks versus Asuka. World Women's Championship on the line. So you can win by, the title can change hands by pinfall, submission, count out, disqualification, including outside interference. But this was a fun match. Really liked this match. Aside from that ending, which I thought was terrible. But Sasha and Bayley ended up coming out. Sasha was carrying, of course, the World Women's Championship. So they were in the ring, they got on the mic. Sasha ended up saying that nobody likes a bully. And nobody is a bigger bully than Stephanie McMahon. After, what we saw last week where Stephanie ended up appearing on the screen. So Sasha ended up saying that Stephanie made this match because she's jealous of her. And then they go on, start trash talking about Asuka. And then Asuka and Kairi Sane come out. And apparently this was Kairi Sane's final appearance on WWE television. And I'll get to explain that in a few. And she ended up putting out a tweet on Twitter, which I will read also. But before the match got underway, like I said, Sasha and Bayley were on the mic. And then you had Kairi Sane chase Bayley backstage. And the show went to commercial. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back, the match got underway. Like I said, it was a fun match. And you had, later on, Asuka was being, distracted at what was going on the screen because Bayley ended up attacking Kairi Sane backstage. And Asuka was, tempted to finish the match or go save Kairi Sane. So she was all distracted. What was she going to do? Was she going to finish the match or go save Kairi Sane? So apparently, Asuka ended up getting out of the ring, retreating to the back to help Kairi. The referee ended up counting to 10. And there you go. Sasha ends up winning the match, and Sasha is your new Raw Women's Champion. So there you go. So post-match, Bayley ended up coming down to the ring, and both of them end up celebrating because they have all the gold now. You know, of course, they have the Women's Tag Team Championship. Bayley has the SmackDown Women's Championship. Of course, Sasha has the Raw Women's Championship. So they have all the gold. So, but overall, very fun match between Sasha and Asuka, aside from the terrible ending, in my opinion. But, you know, with Asuka going back there, you know, at least she could have finished the match. But so then we had an update on Kairi Sane. Asuka ends up coming out of the trainer's room. Sarah Schreiber was there. She was asking Asuka for, you know, an update on Kairi Sane. Asuka came out of the room furious, and she was just screaming, and she just walked off. So that was that. And apparently, that's the last we're going to see of Kairi Sane on WWE television. Her last appearance on WWE television was of Bayley attacking her backstage. I have to say, WWE had done her dirty, Kairi Sane, with this final appearance on television, on WWE television. And it is official, because Kairi ended up tweeting out a post on Twitter. She tweeted this out 2 hours ago. And her tweet ended up saying, "My time in the NXT and WWE locker rooms was incredible. Everyone was kind, funny, and talented. So every day was full of happiness. Also, I was saved by the supportive staff behind the scenes. I will forever love and respect all those professionals I had the pleasure of working with." So that was what Kairi Sane said in a post on her Twitter page. And she ended up sending another tweet that said, "I was able to accomplish so much in the last 3 years. But it wasn't because of my ability or my strength. It was because of all of the consistent, warm support from the fans. I am so thankful I could meet you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Kairi Sane." And it just shows a picture of her, like different pictures of her. Shows a picture of her when she won the NXT Women's Championship, and a photo of her and Triple H. Of course, photos of her and Asuka. So, there you go. Last night of Kairi Sane appearing on WWE television. Apparently, she is going back to Japan to be with her husband. And then we went to Buddy Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo. Humberto Carrillo taking another loss. Not surprised. Buddy Murphy wins. Murphy's Law to Humberto Carrillo. That was that. And then we had the main event. McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. Before the match, McIntyre got on the mic. He ended up wanting to address the comments earlier that was made by Randy Orton at the beginning of the show. McIntyre ended up accepting Randy Orton's challenge, and the match is made official for SummerSlam. McIntyre ended up admitting that Orton is a threat to the championship right now, and he hopes Randy Orton underestimates him as the underdog. So McIntyre ended up begging Orton to underestimate him, because Brock Lesnar did the same thing, and he got his ass kicked at WrestleMania. And McIntyre ended up saying that Orton will definitely see the Claymore coming. Because McIntyre was like, RKO out of nowhere? Oh, Orton will definitely see the Claymore coming. So Dolph Ziggler ends up coming out, and McIntyre then reveals the stipulation for this match. McIntyre ended up revealing that the stipulation will be Extreme Rules. And so then we went to the match. The match itself was just meh, in my opinion. But McIntyre ended up winning the match. He ended up delivering the Claymore to Dolph, which sent Dolph through the table that was leaned in the corner. So that was basically that. It was just McIntyre ended up dominating on Dolph Ziggler through the match. He ended up grabbing a kendo stick. He was beating Dolph with it. So, yeah, McIntyre ended up winning the match. Post-match, Randy Orton comes out of nowhere and hits the RKO to McIntyre. And McIntyre was laid out. So that was that as Monday Night Raw went off the air. So that was Monday Night Raw tonight. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And there will be no Dynamite review on Wednesday. Review will be up on Thursday. So until then, I will see you all back here with the Dynamite review. And there may be another MTV2 commercial break coming up, maybe tomorrow. So maybe I'll get that out tomorrow or Wednesday. So that's the videos that are coming next. So I will see you all later.